Guys, so a quick video on closing costs. Whether you have a real estate agent or not, these are costs that are going to be associated with your closing regardless. It's really good to know what they are so that you can prepare for them. Usually buyers take care of most of the costs. It's approximately 1 to 3% of the purchase price. The ones I'm going to list are for the most part pretty applicable. If you have any questions or want to know if there's any other specific costs associated with your personal transaction, talk to your real estate agent. Okay, so the following closing costs are for the most part paid by the buyer. The first one is loan origination fees. This is charged by your lender for processing a new loan application. It's usually approximately 0 to 1% of the mortgage loan. Okay, another closing cost is escrow fees. First of all, what is escrow? What does that even mean? Escrow is a neutral third party that oversees a trust account. When you as a buyer put down an offer on a house, you put down an earnest money deposit that goes into that account and resides in escrow. So escrow fees go towards the cost of setting up that holding account. And they go towards anything from the costs of dealing with funds to handling documents to the property transaction, things like that. What to expect, usually escrow fees are a couple $100s to maybe over $1,000 depending on the case. Homeowner's insurance, that is another closing cost. This one varies depending on the insurer and the home value. Usually it can be about a couple $100s to about $1,000 each year. Again, that depends on home value and the amount of coverage that you want. Lenders usually want you to pay the first year's premium on the insurance policy at closing. The reason for that is because it provides them with a significant degree of security. Okay, title insurance, another closing cost. First off, what is title? Title is your rights of ownership to a property. Title insurance protects the buyers and the mortgage lenders against potential defects or problems with a title when property ownership is transferred. Prepaid loan interest. This is charges for any daily interest that accrues between the date you close on the loan and the time period covered by your first monthly payment, your first monthly mortgage payment. It will depend on how soon after closing your first monthly payment is. I would highly suggest trying to work with your lender, work the timing of it out so that you don't have to pay in advance loan interest. Recording fees, this is a simple one. This is just the fee to record the deed and the mortgage and file with the county. Okay, overnight or courier fees. Usually lenders and other people involved in your real estate transaction will pay to overnight important documents so that they don't run the risk of postal services taking forever to deliver them. Usually this is about maybe $50 or less, and it's included in your closing costs. Notary fees, you will sign tons and tons and tons of documents when buying or selling a house. Each signature of yours on those documents needs to be verified so that people know you are who you say you are. Usually the notary fees are about $2 to $20 per signature. Next closing cost is property taxes. Usually this is a couple $100s to maybe a couple $1,000 depending on the home purchase price. And the way this works is the buyer will reimburse the seller for property taxes that the seller prepaid in advance. Example, let's say the seller paid property taxes up until September 30th, and let's say the buyer bought the house and closed on it July 30th, so 2 months before. In that case, the buyer would owe the seller 2 months of property taxes for August and September. Okay, legal fees are another closing cost. This is not usually applicable to Utah, where I'm a real estate agent, but is usually more popular in eastern states where attorneys are more often involved in real estate transactions. This can be $0 to usually $100, maybe more depending on the case. In most states, having an attorney is not necessary to purchase a home. Okay, another closing cost, inspections, we're still going. It's just wise and really reassuring to get an inspection done so that you can have a professional inspect your house for any potential defects it could have. Usually this is about a couple $100 to $1,000 depending on the company. Sometimes inspectors are paid directly and sometimes they're paid at closing, which is when it would be included in the closing costs. Private mortgage insurance, also known as PMI. This is required by mortgage lenders in the case that you put less than 20% down on a home. And that is because this protects mortgage lenders in the case that you can't pay off the mortgage loan. At closing, you will often be asked to pay a couple months premiums to a year's premium in advance, depending on the loan officer. Usually it's about a couple $100 annually. Whew, we just covered a ton of closing costs that are usually covered by the buyer. Let's do a couple that are usually covered by the seller. When a seller covers closing costs, it's deducted from the profit that they make on the house. If their equity is too low and they don't have enough to cover those costs, then they'll have to pay for those expenses themselves. The first one is called ownership transfer fees. Some cities have transfer taxes when you sell your house. This is totally based on your property's value and local laws. Unless otherwise negotiated, real estate commissions are paid by the seller for the most part. And they will pay for the buyer's agent and their own agent, the seller's agent. This is usually 5 to 6% in total of the selling price. Okay, another closing cost for a seller, any outstanding amounts owed on the property. You may owe money to bring property taxes up to date depending on when you sell the home. In the case you prepaid for those property taxes and paid in advance, you could be offered a refund, which would be really nice. And then any other payments could or may not include HOA fees, homeowner's insurance, or utility bills.